We don't have to hang out for the executive session. We can have this one.
I record again.
Sorry. So you want me participating?
Yeah. All right. Great. I would like the meeting to order for the Board of Trustees for March 25th, 2026. The time is shortly after 6. I would like everybody to stand and for Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Will the temporary clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett Recorder.
Here.
Trustee Daniel Hennick.
Here.
Trustee Andres Esparza. Trustee David Payton.
Here.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye. Here.
Trustee Corey Jewell.
All right, we have a quorum, so we will continue. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next up is audience business. And I shall read my normal statement. So Senate Bill 24-131 prohibits firearms in public buildings with the exception of law enforcement. All people wishing to address the board shall do so from the podium provided in the boardroom, and all comments will be directed to the board, not to the audience or staff. Public comments regarding items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes per person unless part of a formal presentation. Public comments regarding public hearing items on the agenda will be limited to 3 minutes per person at the time the item comes up on the agenda. Special presentations of items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes, and the board will appoint a timekeeper. All people from the podium shall clearly and audibly state their name, physical address, and the town business topic they wish to speak about prior to starting their comments. No person shall be allowed to speak until recognized by the mayor. Requests to the board to accept written information shall be accepted at that time, although no action will be taken at the meeting because it's not on our agenda. Written information accepted at the meeting shall be provided in the board packet for the next meeting if necessary. All right, so we have first person up. Well, let's skip to Bart. That way you can go have a life.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for letting me talk. You guys just got granted $100,000 towards your pipeline project. Congratulations. There is one caveat on that, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. The town answered one of the questions on that application. Question was, is there opposition to the project? The town answered, quote, there is no opposition to this project that the town is aware of. That's a little bit insulting. I'd like to say, even though we would all prefer to come out here, including me, I am here. Hello, I am Jeff. I find there is, the application continues. The plan, talking about the pipeline, is for a similar replacement of the 8,800 linear feet of pipe, which will not require a new engineering design. Just going to dig up the old one and put a new one in next to it, new engineering. New isolation valves and flow meters will be added to help with maintenance and to better monitor water usage, neither of which the town currently has. The town has already secured a contractor and received a proposal for the work. WSRF funds will be used to purchase the materials and for construction. At the last meeting, I asked, does the raw water pipeline replacement project include the land my wife and I own? I forgot to put that at the beginning. For the record, I live at 10750 Road 43 in Memphis. And my name is Mark Wood. Your policies apparently make it impossible for you to answer my question about whether it's on my property. And there seems to be some question as to whether you can, or it would be appropriate to direct anyone on your staff to answer my question. To me, that seems odd. Your attorney offered to speak with me to address this situation in that meeting, and that seemed like a good solution. I called him the next day. He responded after a few hours with a message he left on my phone. After speaking with town staff, he informed me the water line is in the early planning stages. If and when a water line is planned by the town, actually put out to bid and engineered and all that kind of stuff. Before the line will be installed, the property owners will be notified about this work. Additionally, the water line, if one's installed, and when it's installed, will be in the exact same location as the existing one. So the answer to my question was not given here. It contradicts the information in the grant application, and the last part ignores my request to mitigate damage to wetlands by evaluating alternate pipeline alignments that could avoid the wetlands. I think someone on your staff knows where you are spending $1 million. They know the location at least within 1/2 mile. So it appears the town is refusing to tell me if you intend to dig a trench across my 1/2 mile of our land. It's good to know you'll let us know before you start digging. The town of Memphis is in breach of the 1960 Shepherd Agreement requiring 2 taps into the main flow line. You, the town of Memphis, are contending that an old tap into a dry pipeline that has been replaced and abandoned by the town meets the obligation for that second tap into the main flow line. There was one old cast iron pipeline with 1 tap. That pipeline was replaced by the town with a PVC pipeline. 1 raw water tap was installed into the new PVC pipeline to replace the old tap into the cast iron pipeline. They started with 1 tap on the main flow line, and they ended with 1 tap into the main flow line. There's a difference between a tap on a dry and abandoned pipeline and one that is on a functioning pipeline. The old one has no water. Please do not dig up our land without working with us to get the town in compliance with the easement and to evaluate an alternate alignment that minimizes the impact on the wetlands. We're asking for 3/4 inch tap. That's the space within this. We're not asking for a lot. You're using 1/2 mile of our driveway, 1 acre of our land, and you're about to dig up a 1/2 mile through wetlands because nobody seems to care. Please work with me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Smart.
Next is Russ Taylor.
My name is Russ Taylor. I live at 572 Glen Court in Memphis. I've heard 2 main arguments against the publishing of a statement of values that would indicate to the residents of Memphis how town officials will act in defense of town residents against ICE activities. One is we could lose funding from federal and or state governments, which the town is hard pressed to operate without. And the second is the town and the state already have rules concerning our interactions with ICE. So publishing a statement of values with that information would be redundant. Well, let's first talk about the possible loss of funding. There is a term in military vernacular called a preemptive strike. It means that one group attacks another before the other can attack them. There does not have to be a true threat. The only requirement for a preemptive strike is that the attacker believes they will be attacked. There is a political term, it's very similar, that's been used frequently in the past year, preemptive compliance. Preemptive compliance is defined as the act of conforming to a rule, standard, or requirement before it becomes legal or formally obligatory. In this case, it would be keeping quiet about our stance about the illegal and abusive tactics ICE used against our fellow residents, due to the remote possibility that we would lose federal funding upon which Mancos depends. I have contacted the Colorado Attorney General's office asking if there was a reduction in the limitation of federal funds to Colorado towns taking a stance against ICE, would the attorneys general sue the current administration for reallocation of those funds? I haven't gotten an answer back yet. I will be seeing, though, the attorney general this weekend at the state, Democratic Assembly, and I'll ask that question directly. If the AG agrees that this is a situation in which they will get involved, we would not have to worry about the reduction or elimination of funds. The current administration has lost in a variety of different legal battles trying to push their agenda on the American people. The Attorney General of Colorado already provides some redress for what they're calling federal agent misconduct. It's a place actually on the splash page of the Attorney General's website that allows people to report and make complaints about ICE abuses. This indicates to me that they would represent our suit, but I'll find out from them directly. The second argument is that the town and the state have already have rules concerning our interactions with ICE, so publishing a statement of values would be redundant. This would be true if we were not affected by the whims of the current administration. They are easily able to, and seemingly without much pushback, able to flaunt and ignore rules. So is it not reasonable for Mancos residents to believe that rules are not enough to stop ICE agents from operating and abusing people in Mancos? We cannot fight federal agents, we know that, and people in the town know that. What we can do, though, and what we should do, is tell them that the state laws that are in place prohibit our town officials from assisting ICE, and our marshal will follow these rules, and the residents of Mancos can be sure that our marshal and deputies will make every effort to be on site during ICE raids to record the actions that ICE agents take and make sure that the laws are followed and that abuse will not be tolerated. And also that Mancos officials will not provide any assistance to ICE agents in pursuit of an oppressive agenda, be it physical or in the form of data collected and maintained by the town. If the tenets of the original suggested regulation, which is now a statement of values, are indeed covered by the state and town rules, as we've heard in previous meetings, I assume the board has already done the due diligence to determine which laws and rules cover the tenets suggested in that original suggested regulation. So list them in a statement of values. Publish that list saying, we, the town of Mancos, will follow these rules and stand behind the residents of Mancos. So I'm suggesting that we postpone a vote on the publishing of a statement of values and incorporate citations of the rules that are already in place in a future statement of values, with this statement or the inclusion that we will follow these rules.
Thank you. Dr. Raven-Sinensky? Reuven. Get that wrong every time.
It's like Reuben with a V.
Hi, my name is Reuven Sinensky. So I wanted to start by saying, I live at 422 Bauer Ave, Mancos, Colorado. I wanted to start by saying that I appreciate the work that the board does here, spending your time representing our community. Clearly you care about our community, otherwise you wouldn't be spending your time listening to me right now. I also care, which is why I am here speaking with you instead of watching the New York Yankees play the San Francisco Giants in the first baseball game of the season. True story. I know that there's been discussion about not wanting to talk about ICE activity in Mancus anymore, that this is fake news, and wanting to get back to what some see as the real work that the board does: policy-oriented decision-making with clear deliverables, business-oriented decision-making. But here's the thing. You've been elected to serve our community. Just over a month ago, roughly 20 Mancus residents were here speaking about the need to demonstrate clear support for vulnerable members of this community, people of color, Black and brown people that are being targeted, that are being hunted by ICE in this state, in our community, in our town. We provided you with actionable items that could help support members of our community. Around 50 community members were also present in the audience to support those that were speaking. The statement of values that the board is putting forward does not, in any substantive way, shape or form address the concerns that were brought to this board and continue to be brought to this board. What do other Mancus public servants do when 20 or even 50 people come to them with reasonable requests? What do you think our town marshal would do if 20 or 50 people came to him with reasonable requests and concerns? Would he try to address these concerns in a substantive way? I certainly believe that he would. Regardless of whether you may see it this way or not, addressing community concerns is a core part of your job. We're just asking you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie McClure?
Katie McClure, 6554 Road 41 in Mancus. Thank you, trustees, for taking time to address the value statement and for the care evident in your workshop conversations, your homework, and the language of the statement. The warmth of the document reflects something real about Mancus, and I do want to acknowledge that. I also want to be honest, because honesty is part of how we hold each other accountable as neighbors. The resolution our community brought forth was specific. It named concrete protections: no sharing of town data or resources without a judicial warrant, written staff guidance, accessible complaint processes, and public reporting. These weren't radical. They were grounded in existing Colorado law, constitutional standards, and the precedent set by other Colorado municipalities. The value statement and press release, while beautifully written by AI, do not carry those commitments forward. What was a set of enforceable, reviewable policies has become a collection of aspirations. But aspirations can't protect a person when something goes wrong. Aspirations can't be pointed to in a complaint. Aspirations can't be reviewed for compliance. ICE detentions in Colorado have quadrupled in 2025 over 2024, according to an investigation by the Colorado Sun and the Deportation Data Project. Only 38% had any criminal conviction. That is the lowest in a decade. Even if we make the naive assumption that none of this increase happened in our area, that could not alleviate the fear that it could at any time. At a recent public meeting, a child in our community was quoted as saying simply, "I'm scared." That child was talking about ICE, about what it feels like to be a child in Mancus right now, watching the news, watching adults, and feeling afraid. Hearing that quote gutted me. A child's fear is not a political position. When children in our town are scared, we have an obligation to ask ourselves, are we doing everything in our power to address that fear? The answer in this value statement is clearly not yet. I understand this is your decision to make. You are our elected trustees. I'm not here to demand you adopt the original resolution word for word. I'm here to ask you to close the gap between the warmth of your language and the specificity of your commitments. Looking forward, I have a few asks. Number one, go public with the specifics of what you already are held to and will do. Be unequivocal in your commitment to safety in words and actions. Number two, and I'll give this to you, you don't have to write it down. Create a real, safe, user-friendly pathway for complaints. Number three, report publicly on federal agency contact. If federal immigration authorities contact the marshal's office, the community deserves to know when it happened and how it was handled. Number four, reach out to your peer towns and law enforcement and join efforts to push for legal, constitutional federal actions. And number five, give some real thought to what you might do to make this space in this room more safe to those who are most affected. Their voices shape what comes next, not just the voices of those of us who can comfortably stand at this microphone week after week talking to you. We have to be the kind of town where a child doesn't have to be scared. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. And Chris Abrams.
Hi, my name is Chris Abrams. I live at 6766 Road 40 in Mancus, and I'm addressing the general question of how we listen to each other, and specifically with respect to the press release, so I'm hoping you'll split the difference and give me 4 minutes. I want to tell you a story. It's an old folk tale about a spiritual teacher named Ishu. One day, Ishu walked between two friends wearing a hat that was black on one side and red on the other. Each friend saw something different, and each was certain he was right. Soon that certainty turned into argument turned to anger, and they nearly came to blows. When Ishu revealed the hat, these friends learned something vital about human nature. Each of them had something real, had seen something real, a real part of the truth, but it was only part of the truth. And they'd mistaken their limited view for the whole. I've been thinking about this story a lot lately as I watch the divisions in this country worsen, and frankly, as I watch the conversations in this room. Many of you are approaching this moment with what feels reasonable and fair to you based on your own lived experience. You're talking about belonging and values and trust. But residents of color in this town are telling you something very different. They're telling you they are in danger. They're telling you they're terrified. Children are afraid to leave their homes. Families are afraid of being separated. People don't know if they'll get to come home at the end of the day. And what I've seen is that those experiences have not been fully received here. Look, when a specific group of people tells you that they are in danger and the response is a general statement about valuing everybody, we're missing the boat. Let's learn from our own history. In 1776, this country declared that all people have rights and liberty. And yet slavery and colonialism and genocide continued for generations. General language, no matter how stirring, did not protect brown and black people. That's why we're asking you to name who is at risk in the press release. This specific category you're worried about creating, it was created a long time ago by racists in this country. You're not creating it. You're responding as the first step towards protection. You're enacting the same pattern in the shift away from the specific language in the press release. Broad statements like, we support everyone, don't tell people what will actually happen when they're targeted. The original draft included clear commitments like prohibiting racial profiling and prohibiting assisting ICE without a signed judicial warrant. Those details matter because when people are targeted, they shouldn't have to dig through layers of laws to figure out what you're going to do. This public statement is your opportunity to clearly communicate your policies to our community and law enforcement. In closing, leadership in a moment like this is not about hiding behind neutrality. It's about recognizing the limits of your own perspective, not arguing till you're red in the face that the hat is black. It's about choosing to listen and respond with clarity and strength to protect those at risk. You have an opportunity to do that here. Please don't squander it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. All right, next item on the agenda is the Montezuma County Commission update. I do not see Gerald here, so we'll move along to the next item. Announcements.
No announcements from staff.
Okay, anybody up here? Announcements? Okay. All right, page 2. On our consent agenda tonight, we have March 11, 2026 minutes from our meeting and just the committee report on the statewide transportation advisory council meeting minutes. That's a mouthful. And so, does anybody need to pull those off the consent? Okay. I would entertain a motion and a second for
Make a
the
motion.
consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving on. Discussion and action items. So we have before us a project, it's 273 East Menifee minor subdivision. And so we had a public hearing?
No, it's not required.
Okay, because it's minor?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
It's section 1618-9.
Okay,
Our code is not required for minor subdivision.
thank you. I love how you just whip that stuff out.
It's in the.
I know, I know. It just looks really fancy. All right, do you want to give us a rundown?
Mayor, I just want to recuse myself since I have a prior business relationship with the
Okay,
applicant.
all right, thank you.
I do. Curious here. So, planning commission approved, recommended approval to you all. Safe Build approved this. And then if you are inclined to approve, I'm only asking you to approve the conditions because there was some question about ownership. Nothing illegal. But the previous owner, last name was Carlisle. The new owner is an LLC, Carlisle Mobile. However, the owners of the LLC are Rayburn and Kieran Gunsey, so it caused a little bit of confusion over the last couple of days. So if you are inclined to approve this, I would ask that you approve it with the condition. What they have decided to do, and I just received the email at 4 o'clock this afternoon, is they are going to quit claim Carlisle back to RKR. That is on the Mylar. That will clarify this for everybody moving forward. They had the best of intentions. They wanted to keep it for a legacy, but it did throw off. That it caused some questions because everyone was like, "Wait, Carlisle is selling to Carlisle," and that's not the case. It is brand new ownership. So as much as they wanted to keep the legacy name, they are going to go to back to the RKR LLC. So other than that, I think we're also waiting. I have a title commitment. We're waiting for title insurance policy. So if you are inclined to approve, I would ask that you make it conditional upon a quitclaim deed back to RKRE LLC and receipt of a title insurance policy, not just a title commitment.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense to you.
I think so.
And the Mylars are up there. If you need a larger view, the Mylars are up there. There is a copy in your packet, but I know it hasn't.
Yeah, it's very small. So when I was at P&Z and they heard this, one of the questions I had, because they wanted us to have the chair of P&Z sign the plat, or Mylar, and I noticed that there weren't really any notary public signatures. Do they not require those? Wow. So anybody can sign them, pretending to be whoever. Wow. Okay.
We've never required that. I don't know about the county or any other counties, but Vegas and I don't believe Columbia County requires that.
I've never seen it in the county.
Not on my own.
Okay.
Now, there's other things that require, the notary signature, but not.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other comments, concerns?
No.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to include the conditions as noted by Heather.
I'll make a motion to approve the minor subdivision at 273 East Menifee Street, Mancos, Colorado, with the conditions that RKRE LLC is put in a quitclaim deed on that, as well as insurance, title insurance.
Was there another one?
Showing ownership interest. So moved.
All right.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will the temporary clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter.
Aye.
Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Min.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Wait,
I'm sorry,
David.
who seconded that motion?
David.
David.
Okay. Thank you. I'll get that now.
All right, so next item is our town value statement. And I will find it here shortly. Did you want to run through any of that, or do you want us to just take over, Heather?
This is,
Get some ours.
now, I did do my best to capture, the comments from the last meeting, so please let me know if I missed anything, if I misinterpreted anything. In the press release, because I believe at the last workshop, you all left the value statement with no changes. There was discussion and consensus regarding the press release. And then the staff document is for your information. Once value statement and press release are drafted and approved by you all, staff will finalize that staff document.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's look at the, well, I guess we don't really need to look at the value statement, but I do want to say on the record that the value statement is one piece of a three-piece suite of documents. And it's not all AI. I wrote it, and then I wrote another one, and another one, and another one, and then I had AI compile into something that is more warm than I am. So just to clear that up. And so we have the value statement, and that is meant to be an ongoing broad document. The press release has more specific language about the situation, which is ICE, and so that document speaks to that because that's a more temporary. This is a specific thing that we're talking about, and so that's what the press release will be. And then the Marshal's Office staff document is what several of the audience members had requested in terms of what are the laws, are they, you know, what will we do, what won't we do, what can we do, what can't we do, and the reason that that is being issued from the Marshal's Office is that, one, they know this stuff inside and out, and two, they're keeping track of what's going on because it's a rapidly changing landscape legally, whereas we don't have that intense focus on it. And that way they can, staff can just make the updates and they don't have to come to us to get it approved. It just, they update it and it's ready to go. So with all three of those documents, we had felt like that makes a nice complete package. And so with the value statement, does anybody have any further comments? Anything you guys? Okay, all right. So move on from that. Marshal's Office staff document, this is for our information, so we don't have to talk about that. And then, and they'll keep that up to date. And then the press release, so let's all take a look at that. Does anybody want to make any comments first?
No, it's pretty much what we talked about in the workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but you always manage to figure out what we're talking about.
call your parent minutes from the last workshop.
Okay. Yeah, and just the press release says, the town of Mancos is guided by clear and enduring values belonging for everyone, safe and respectful community, local focus, responsible action, and clear, calm communication, strength through partnership, civic respect, and participation. These values shape how we govern and how we serve every person who lives in and contributes to our town. While federal immigration enforcement authority rests with the federal government, local government has clear authority over its own policies, personnel, property, and data. We reinforce that town staff already operate in accordance with federal and Colorado law, and will continue to do so. The town remains committed to strict compliance with applicable statutes while focusing local resources on local responsibilities. And then public safety depends on trust. When residents feel safe calling 911, reporting crimes, attending town meetings, visiting parks and libraries, or accessing essential services, our entire community is stronger. Fear that prevents participation in daily civic life undermines safety for everyone. Building and sustaining trust is a priority for the Marshal's Office. The Marshal's Office is committed to transparency in local law enforcement operations, including those involving federal immigration enforcement, and welcomes open dialogue and questions from community members. The Board of Trustees issues this statement to provide clarity. Mancos will continue to uphold the constitutional rights of all residents, and our responsibility as a local government is to ensure that every member of our community is treated with fairness, respect, and humanity. Mancos has always been a place where neighbors look out for one another. In times of uncertainty, we recommit to that principle and to governing in a way that reflects both the rule of law and the inherent dignity of all people. If there's any other comments, changes, then I would entertain a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the value statement and send the press release.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Should be all in favor, right?
Is it an all in favor?
This is an all in favor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's an all in favor.
Yeah.
We'll do all in favor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yeah, so the 3 documents will be handed out and sent to the press and also elected officials at county level and on up. And that's what we're gonna do.
And we'll post them on our website and our Facebook page.
Yes.
Yeah.
It may take a couple of days for Justin and I to finalize the red lines and the
Yes.
staff. I want to give it another, now that you finalize the value statement and press release, I want to give that another look through to make sure it's absolutely accurate and that it will be posted.
Thanks,
Nice.
Heather.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So on board for items for April 8, 2026 meeting, we have a to be determined workshop. We have consent agenda, which will, at the very least, contain the March 25th, 2026 minutes and various committee reports as they come in. We will be swearing in our new trustees. We will appoint a mayor pro tem. The town administrator, town clerk and treasurer, town marshal, and town attorney reappointment will happen. So we go through a series of swearing in and reappointments. Resolution to be determined, Series 2026, financial authorizations, and an Arbor Day proclamation, and executive session for legal advice regarding Mancos River diversion. All right, so that's it. Now, we have an executive session on our agenda, and there are specific things, so hopefully I have the right one. All right, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session for discussion of a personnel matter under, no,
Legal matters.
for a conference with a town attorney for purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B, freedom of speech related to public comment.
All right. Second, okay, second from Daniel.
Call it.
And will clerk please call the vote?
Is it all?
Mayor Pro Tem Bradley Porter.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Henning.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee David Lee.
Okay. All right. So we are entering executive session. What that means is it's just us, and you all can exit.